Dinosaurs aren't hiding in your backyard. But according to Einstein's relativity, the past never really vanishes. It's just a different slice of space-time, locked away in what physicists call the block universe. In that sense, the age of the dinosaurs isn't erased. It's just locked away in another slice of space-time. That reality is stranger than our brain lets us see is exactly the point. Let me demonstrate. You wake up, lights flood in. You reach for your phone. It's Tuesday. It seems normal, right? Except your brain just told you 3 massive lies in the first 5 seconds of your day. And by the end of this video, you're going to discover why those lies might be the only thing standing between you and complete psychological breakdown. And before you roll your eyes and think this is about some philosophical rabbit hole, this isn't abstract. This is measurable. This is happening right now as you're watching this. The light flooding in, that's not light. That's your brain taking invisible electromagnetic radiation, the same stuff that comes out of your microwave, and deciding to translate it into the experience of brightness and color. The phone in your hands is 99.9% empty space. The atoms that make it up are mostly nothing, with tiny particles buzzing around in emptiness. The only reason it feels solid is because electromagnetic forces are playing an incredibly convincing game of keep away. That Tuesday, that's just a word we invented, and your brain has agreed to pretend it means something real. So, here is the question that should be bothering you right now. If your brain is lying to you about things this basic, what else is it editing out without asking permission? And here is what should really disturb you. This isn't the first time we've caught our brains red-handed. But every time we do, we discover something that makes the universe a little less safe. Let me show you the pattern that should terrify you. Picture yourself as an ancient human standing on a coastline. You're looking out at the horizon, and it's obvious, crystal clear, that you're seeing the edge of the world. Your brain is telling you that beyond that line, there is either nothing, or monsters, or maybe a giant waterfall into the void. And for thousands of years, that wasn't a belief, it was faith, it was a fact, as obvious as the phone in your hand right now. The earth was flat because that's what our senses, our brains told us it was. But then, we invented better tools, ships that could sail farther, mathematics that could measure shadows in different cities. And suddenly, we realized our brains had been lying about the shape of our own planet. Okay, so we are on a ball, not a plate. That's manageable. Weird, but manageable. But then, we made the mistake of looking up. For centuries, after accepting the round Earth, we still believed we were the center of everything. The sun, the moon, all the planets and stars, they all revolved around us. Which, if you think about it, is the ultimate ego trip. Then Copernicus showed up in the 1500s and quietly suggested maybe, just maybe, we are actually orbiting the sun. At first, people mostly ignored him. Then they cared a lot, especially the church, which didn't appreciate having its cosmic seating chart rearranged, because this wasn't just about astronomy. This was about our place in reality, and that place kept getting smaller and smaller. We went from the center of everything to a rock orbiting an average star. Then we discovered that our average star was one of billions in a galaxy. Then we found out our galaxy was one of billions in an observable universe. Each revelation made us less central, less important, less comfortable. But at least the rules made sense. Objects had mass, gravity pulled them together, time moved forward at a steady pace. We might be tiny, but the universe still played biological rules we could understand. And that's when physics looked at this neat, orderly universe we'd constructed and said, "Hold my beer." Early 1900s, scientists decide to do what seems like a simple experiment. They are going to fire tiny particles, electrons, through 2 thin slits and see where they land on a screen behind them. This should be the most boring experiment in history. You'd expect 2 neat lines on the screen, like shining a flashlight through 2 windows onto a wall. But that's not what happens. Instead, the electrons create an interference pattern, like waves, spreading out and overlapping, which is strange because electrons are supposed to be particles, not waves. Okay, the scientists think, maybe when we fire a bunch of electrons at once, they are somehow interfering with each other. So, they try something that should settle it once and for all. They fire the electrons one at a time. Just one electron fired at the slits, hitting the screen. You'd think each electron would go through one slit or the other and hit the screen in a predictable spot, right? Even firing one electron at a time, they still get the wave interference pattern. It's as if each individual electron somehow goes through both slits simultaneously and interferes with itself, which is like throwing a baseball at two doorways and having it somehow go through both doors at the same time. But here is where it gets genuinely disturbing. And this is the moment physics officially lost its mind. The scientists decide to pick. They set up detectors to see which slit each electron actually goes through. The moment they start watching, literally observing which path the electron takes, the interference pattern disappears. The electrons suddenly start behaving like normal, boring particles again. Just the act of looking changes what happens. Think about what this means. The universe, at its most fundamental level, behaves differently when it knows you are watching. And if that's true for electrons, what does it mean for your reality? At the quantum level, the foundation of everything you see, touch, and are made of, particles exist in multiple states simultaneously until something observes them. Only then do they collapse into one definite outcome, which means the chair you are sitting in, the air you are breathing, your own body, all of it is made of particles that don't have definite properties until they are measured. So here is the question that should be making you deeply uncomfortable. If that's how the smallest building blocks of reality work, how much of what you are experiencing right now is actually determined? And how much is your brain choosing one possibility from infinite quantum options? Right now, as you're watching this video, you are seeing roughly 1/10 trillionth of all the electromagnetic radiation hitting your eyes. Let that number sink in for a second. 1/10 trillionth. You live inside a tiny sliver of the electromagnetic spectrum that we've arrogantly labeled visible light, as if the 99.9999% of radiation you can't see just doesn't matter. But other creatures didn't get the same limitations, and what they can see should make you jealous and maybe a little scared. Bees see ultraviolet patterns on flowers, hidden landing strips, and nectar maps that are completely invisible to you. Snakes can see the heat signatures of warm-blooded prey in total darkness. Birds navigate using Earth's magnetic field like they've got GPS built into their brains. And you lose your car in parking lots. That's what you do. But here is what's genuinely unsettling. Beyond your narrow window of perception, reality doesn't just look different, it gets fundamentally weird. Radio waves are carrying signals through your body right now. X-rays would reveal the bones beneath your skin. Gamma rays from dying stars are passing through you as we speak. Entire cosmic events, stars colliding, black holes devouring matter, galaxies spinning apart, are happening right now in wavelengths you can't detect without technology. You are living in a universe full of invisible activity, and your brain has decided to edit almost all of it out of your experience. Which brings us to the deeply uncomfortable possibility that some of the smartest physicists in the world are starting to whisper about. What if your brain isn't limiting your perception because it's broken or lazy? What if it's protecting you from something that would completely shatter your ability to function? Consider what the leading theories about reality actually suggest. Some physicists seriously propose we might be living in a computer simulation, a perfectly rendered digital universe, indistinguishable from the real thing. Others suggest the universe might be holographic, that everything you see in 3 dimensions is actually information projected from a distant 2-dimensional surface, like the ultimate cosmic movie screen. Still others point out that what we call reality might be something our brains actively construct moment by moment, assembling a coherent experience from incomplete quantum information. But notice what all these theories have in common. They suggest the real universe underneath our experience is so fundamentally different from what we perceive that we literally don't have the concepts to understand it directly. And here is the pattern you should be noticing. Every time we've gotten closer to true reality, it's become less intuitive, less comfortable, and harder for human brains to process. Flat Earth to round Earth. That was manageable. Uncomfortable, but manageable. Center of the universe to tiny speck in space. That hurt our ego, but we adapted. Then, solid matter to mostly empty space. That was weird, but we could handle it. Predictable particles to quantum uncertainty. That broke our understanding of cause and effect, but we learned to work with the mathematics. But what's next? And here is the terrifying question. What if we are approaching a limit to how much strangeness human consciousness can absorb? What if the next big revelation about reality is so alien, so incomprehensible that knowing it directly would paralyze us with existential terror? Here is what I think is actually happening and why it should completely change how you think about your brain's lies. Your brain isn't deceiving you because it's broken. It's deceiving you because the truth might literally break you. Think about what would actually happen if your perceptual filters suddenly disappeared. If you could see all electromagnetic radiation at once, your visual world would become an overwhelming chaos of overlapping signals. Radio waves, microwaves, X-rays, gamma rays, all competing for your attention simultaneously. You'd be paralyzed trying to process the sensory overload. If you could perceive quantum superpositions directly, if you could see objects existing in multiple states simultaneously until observed, nothing would seem solid or predictable. The chair you are sitting in would appear to be in countless possible positions at once. You might lose your grip on the concept of definite reality entirely. If you experienced time the way Einstein's physics says it actually works, with past, present, and future all existing simultaneously, and time flowing differently based on your speed and gravity, your sense of causality and sequence might collapse completely. Your morning routine of waking up, seeing light, checking your phone on Tuesday, those aren't bugs in your brain software. They are features, carefully evolved simplifications that create a reality manageable enough for you to wake up, make decisions, and survive another day. So maybe the real question isn't what is reality actually like? Maybe it's how much truth can we handle before it stops being helpful and starts being destructive? Because here is what evolution figured out millions of years. Any species that survived long enough to ask these questions probably developed the same solution. Brains that lie beautifully, consistently, and protectively. Brains that take the incomprehensible chaos of actual reality and edit it into something their owners can use to find food, avoid danger, reproduce, and build civilizations. You still wake up tomorrow, you still need coffee, you still have emails to answer and problems to solve, and rent is still due next month. Your brain will keep translating electromagnetic radiation into light. It will keep convincing you that your phone is solid. It will keep pretending Tuesday means something. And maybe that's not the cosmic conspiracy you thought it was. Maybe it's the kindest thing the universe has ever done for us. Because in a reality where particles exist in multiple states until observed, where most of existence is invisible to us, where the fundamental nature of space and time defies intuition, your brain gives you the gift of a Tuesday morning. Simple, predictable, manageable. That's not a lie. That's love.